In the shimmering heat of the Mojave Desert, where the horizon meets the edge of space, lived a man named Caleb. To the billionaire investors and the elite astronauts of Astro Vanguard, Caleb was just a hangar ghost. He was the senior technician who spent his nights covered in rocket fuel and grease, fixing the engines that took other people to the stars. They saw his faded flight suit and his oil-stained hands, but they didn't see the man who actually calculated the gravity assist that made deep space travel possible. 8 years ago, Caleb made a sacrifice that most people would call career suicide. He gave his seat on the first private mission to the moon to his co-pilot and the woman he loved, Sienna. He did it because the company needed a face that would sell tickets, and Sienna was the perfect, charismatic pilot the world wanted to see. He thought they were a team. He was wrong. Today, Sienna is a global icon, the queen of the galaxy, about to lead a mission to Mars. But as the countdown hits the final minute, a critical system failure freezes the launch. A man steps out of the shadows of the mission control basement. He isn't here to beg for a ticket. He's here to show the world that while Sienna owns the spotlight, he owns the physics. The story begins in a hot, cramped hangar in 2018. Caleb and Sienna were 25, top of their class at the academy, and deeply in love. Caleb was the math whiz who could calculate an orbit in his head. Sienna was the ace pilot who could handle any turbulence. They had built a prototype engine in their spare time, a project they called the Phoenix. One cold night, the CEO of Astro Vanguard told them there was only one seat left for the moon mission. The board wanted a hero the media would love. Caleb looked at Sienna's eyes, burning with the fire of ambition. He handed her his flight log and his research papers. He told her, "Sienna, take my seat. The world needs to see you fly. I'll stay on the ground and make sure your path is clear. Just promise me we build the future together." Sienna took the seat. She became the first woman on a private lunar flight, but as she touched the lunar dust, Caleb started seeing less of the partner who shared his dreams and more of the celebrity who forgot his name. As the years turned, the roar of the old combustion engines in 2018 turned into the silent, high-frequency hum of ion thrusters in 2026. The grainy video calls from the moon were replaced by high-definition holograms from the orbital stations. Caleb watched Sienna's face move from their small framed photo in the hangar to massive digital billboards in Times Square. The betrayal happened on the night of the Mars announcement in 2022. Caleb had spent months perfecting the life support system for the Mars mission. But Sienna arrived at the press conference with Grant, a billionaire tech mogul who had just bought a majority stake in the company. She announced that Grant would be her mission partner and that the Phoenix engine was her sole invention. She pulled Caleb aside and told him, "Caleb, you're a genius with a wrench, but this mission needs prestige. You're too grounded for the image we're projecting. I need a partner who can stand on a red carpet, not just in a hangar." She fired him from his own project, leaving him with a non-disclosure agreement and a heart that was heavier than lead. Now, it is 2026. The world is watching the Mars One launch. Sienna is in the commander's chair, sitting next to Grant. The rocket is a billion-dollar masterpiece of engineering. But at T-minus 60 seconds, the unthinkable happens. The Phoenix core begins to overheat. The computers are locking out the pilots. The emergency thrusters are firing in reverse. The engineers in mission control are panicking. They've tried every override in the manual, but the system is responding to a ghost code they can't break. Grant is screaming at the comms, and Sienna's heart rate is skyrocketing on the monitors. In desperation, the chief engineer remembers the hangar ghost, the man who built the core in a garage 8 years ago. Sienna's voice crackled through the speakers in the mission control basement. "Is anyone there? The core is melting. We're going to blow on the pad." Caleb sat in a corner, watching the telemetry on an old cracked tablet. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He pressed a single button on his screen, and the chaotic alarms in the cockpit above suddenly turned into a steady, rhythmic pulse. "I'm here, Sienna," Caleb said, his voice calm and steady, echoing through the billion-dollar headset in her helmet. "Caleb, fix it! Please, override the lock!" she pleaded, her fame and ego disappearing in the face of certain death. "I can't override it, Sienna. The Phoenix isn't failing, it's performing a safety purge. It's detecting a weight imbalance in the mission's integrity. You told the world you invented this core, but you forgot that I built it to protect the truth. And the truth is, you don't know how to fly without me." Suddenly, the monitors at Mission Control and the live feed being watched by billions of people flickered. They didn't show the Astro Vanguard logo. They showed an old, time-stamped video from 2018 of Caleb and Sienna in that dusty hangar, signing their names together on the original Phoenix core. Caleb's voice broadcasted to the entire world. "The engine isn't the problem, Sienna. The pilot is. You sold the soul of this mission to a man who couldn't even calculate a lunar orbit. You wanted to reach Mars, but you forgot how to stay human on Earth." The board of directors, realizing their entire brand was built on a lie, watched as the Queen of the Galaxy was unmasked as a fraud in front of the entire planet. The launch was scrubbed. The billion-dollar rocket stayed on the ground. The mission was canceled, and Astro Vanguard's stock plummeted to zero within an hour. Caleb walked out of the mission control basement and onto the desert floor. Sienna was being escorted out of the capsule, her dream of Mars turning into a nightmare of lawsuits and public disgrace. He handed her a small, rusted bolt, the very first one they had used in 2018. "I didn't take your wings, Sienna," Caleb said, looking at the stars. "I just reminded you that they were never yours to begin with. You wanted the sky, but you lost the ground. And without the ground, there's nowhere to land." Caleb walked toward his old truck, leaving the billionaire and the pilot behind in the dust. He didn't look back at the cameras. He looked at the horizon, where he was already planning his own mission, not for fame, but for the thrill of the flight. In a world that is obsessed with visibility and personal branding, we often forget that the most important part of any journey is the foundation. Sienna thought she could eject the man who gave her a path and still reach the stars. She thought the world would only admire the face and never question the fact. But Caleb taught us a different lesson. You can take the credit, but you can never take the talent. You can buy the seat, but you can't buy the skill. Sienna chose the spotlight over the soul and ended up grounded forever. Remember, never forget the people who helped you build your wings, because when you're 30,000 feet up and the engines fail, they are the only ones who know how to bring you home. If this story reminded you that integrity is the only thing that defies gravity, type truth in the comments and share this to honor the engineers who work in the shadows.